Evening, everybody. Welcome to the Barmy Army Isolation Podcast number 3. We're on. My name's Deborah, and this evening I'm joined by Fiona, Jake, and by Sue. How are we all doing today, everybody? Fiona, how's it going at the moment?
Yeah, not too bad. Missing football as always, but good enough.
Jake, how are you doing?
Well, one week closer to football, to resuming everything. Let's look on the bright side.
That's a really good point, actually, Jake. I think that's probably something I've been missing the point of here. But yeah, absolutely spot on. Sue, how's everything for you?
Oh, everything's just okay, as normal, at work, but missing football.
Just going to repeat what we've often said throughout the podcast is that at the Barmy Army, we are here. If anybody wants to have a chat, just get in touch with us. If you need to speak to somebody, we are all here. Can be contacted via Twitter. So nobody needs to just sit on their own at the moment. We're going to have a quick chat about the Everton games. We may also, for all time's sake, Jake in particular, we may have a quick chat about last season's Everton game. We're going to focus on those 3 games in particular from this season. So we've got 2 league games and a Conti Cup game. First of all, I know I've got my thoughts on this. Do you all have a favourite game out of those? You may not have been to all of them. You may have seen parts of some of them, but have you got a favourite game or one out of those 3 that really sticks out? Jake, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, is this from this season only?
You all right there? Sorry. You all right? Sue, go on. Jake, you jump in. Your favourite game?
Yeah, was this from this season or just either?
Your favourite Everton game out of any Everton game? Go on, Jake.
It's got to be the first one. My first away game, personally.
Yeah.
What a night.
Again, we scored 3 goals, which seems to be a winning theme with Everton. If you had to pick one from this season, what would you go for?
I'd go for another 3-0 away at Everton when we went up to Southport, beat them in the Conti Cup. We were all expecting a really tough game, and no offence to Everton, but it wasn't that tough in the end.
Okay, so both Southport games are standing out for you. Stu, what would you say for you? Your favourite Everton game?
I didn't go to the Conti Cup game because that, I think, was early November, which is a family birthday weekend for me. So I didn't go to the Conti Cup game. I think I enjoyed the home game win more than the away game because of the stadium, the weather, and the fact that we were 3-0 up and went down, and it was 2-3, and it was a bit nail-biting. Whereas I thought the home game was a lot more comfortable. Although we went 1 down early on, we came back with 3 goals, I think all in the first half. And I don't think there were any goals in the second half, but we came out 3-1 winners and we were comfortable. So I enjoyed that a lot more than the away game. The away game, I was disappointed with their stadium after they had, sort of been bullying it up a lot. This great move to this place. It was freezing cold because you're totally exposed to the wind there. And also, like I said, it got a bit nail-biting towards the end, and I was disappointed with our second half in that game and 1 or 2 individual performances, which we might get onto later. But yeah, the home Super League was my favourite. I wasn't at the Conti Cup game.
Okay, thanks for that, Sue. Fiona, have you got a favourite?
Probably have to go for the recent 3-2 win, because I can remember after the game in December coming out saying we have to take the positives. We didn't play well, but we won, and we went 1-0 down quite quickly. So, whereas the game in February we played well until we scored our 3rd goal, and then it went a bit downhill from there. But we had good attacking football. We looked like we were playing well as well. Quite an entertaining game, I suppose, as well, particularly for the neutrals. If it goes down to 3-2, you might think it's quite close. For us United fans, yeah, nail-biting, We were trying to encourage a little bit of time wasting, passing the ball around safely. So it was an entertaining game, particularly because we had the subs warming up in front of us as well, and joining in with our songs. It's always quite nice. Yeah, it was quite a good game. That.
So I think we've covered a quick discussion about all of them there. Let's start with thinking about the Conti Cup game from this season. So a fairly straightforward 3-0 win. Jake, you were there. What did you make of that game?
Well, the thing that stands out to me the most is the amount of fans that we took to that match. I think it was arguably our best away following, if we discount the Manchester derby. And it was just a brilliant atmosphere behind the goal. We had a great view of that first goal from Lauren. We all went absolutely wild, and look, the pictures from that day just say a lot. The girls put in a decent performance, in the words of Casey. Not our best performance, but look, they got the job done. And it was one that really sticks in the memory as a really memorable and fun away day.
Yeah, and obviously a 3-0 that was more straightforward than last season's 3-0. Would you say that was our best performance against Everton this season?
Definitely.
Okay. Fiona, you didn't get to that game in Southport. You've seen the highlights of it, or you actually saw the game at the time. What did you make of that?
Yeah, so I watched the game back. So we scored the 22nd minute or something like that, and then we scored 2 goals towards the end. But we had quite a few chances before that. I remember Millie had a few chances, a few headers, that kind of thing. So we could have had it 3-0 a bit earlier on. And obviously we've got the Amy Turner goal that nobody expected. Everybody was like, she's gonna cross it, and she goes and scores a great goal. Obviously, which is very nice. I do remember her almost doing a goal last year. So maybe she has something against Everton. But yeah, no, it was an entertaining game to watch back as well. There were a few mistakes, Abby McManus made a mistake there, so it wasn't a brilliant performance, wasn't 100% brilliant, but there were still plenty of positives to take out of it.
Yeah, might come back to some of those areas because a few people have made points. Sue, you didn't go to that game. Have you seen the highlights since, or have you seen the goals at least since after?
No, I haven't seen anything about that game, so can't make any comments, unfortunately.
Okay, one of the things that stands out, and hello to people that are joining us. Anthony makes a point about, we talked about mistakes. I know you mentioned Abby Mack, Fiona, but Mary's also lost concentration a couple of times we've seen against Everton. Certainly the goal that we conceded at LSV, some would say it was completely her fault. Abby seemed to switch off, certainly in the Conti Cup game. Mary as well, most recently at Walton Hall Park. Some say she was at fault for both of their goals, some say just one in the win. But those mistakes have been more common against Everton. Is there any reason why you think we've made those kinds of mistakes, Joe?
Everton, even though we've overcome them every time, I feel like they push you, and they do sort of push teams into mistakes. Like even, for example, moving away from United for 2 seconds when they've played City, for example, they've nicked a goal here and there. Okay, they've not got a result, but Everton do press, and maybe later on they can snatch a goal. With us making mistakes, it does happen sometimes, and let's not forget, everyone says it, but we are a new team. And talking about Mary specifically, she's really high on confidence. I do like her a lot, but look, all goalkeepers will make a mistake here and there. I just think it's natural. And look, teams can't be perfect. And if you are, you win the Champions League. You're up there. And we're developing every game, every month. We are developing as a side.
Any thoughts, Fiona, on why we seem to have those errors creeping more against Everton?
I don't know if maybe Mary's got a bit more pumped up for that game, a bit more excited for them, because we do, I think, who was it? Pickford, we've had that kind of conversations in the past, or Joe Hart when he's been England keeper, so I don't know if something like that's happening for Mary. The mistakes all seem to be quite similar ones, so she's a great shot stopper, but these all seem to be like crosses into the box, corners, that kind of thing, where maybe there isn't that good communication between Mary and Abby and Millie in front of her. We do hear them shouting, but I can't remember her shouting at that corner the recent game who's going to get on it. So
No.
I don't know if that maybe plays a part.
Okay, it's interesting actually, because you saying that she gets almost too pumped up. I was thinking, was it from the opposite side of things, that actually she doesn't approach that game as she would a Chelsea, City or Arsenal? But actually makes sense what you're saying as well. Sue, any thoughts on why the team collectively perhaps struggle a little bit more with individual errors against Everton?
First of all, the home game, they scored like really early on, didn't they? Like second or third minute from a corner, which I think Mary came for. I think an Everton player did get the head to it, but she came at it and she flapped at it. And I agree with Fiona. I think she's a great shot stopper, and she's had some fantastic performances, particularly like against Arsenal. And then she's had one or two like really great saves in other games. But she does seem a little bit suspect, I think, on the crosses. And in the away game in the WSL, with the wind, you could tell from the start of that second half, their game plan was to put in early crosses, early balls, all the corners, even their second goal that went straight in. You know, they were lofting the ball up high. And I think they probably learned from their first goal way back earlier in the season at LSV that was a corner. The conditions weren't bad. Mary came, flapped at it, and they scored. And I think they probably identified that as a weakness of hers, maybe from just their experience, you know, maybe from looking at videos and things, I don't know. But I think they probably said at half time, look, the wind's behind us. Remember how we scored against United at LSV? Every opportunity you get, stick a ball in, you know, and they scored again from a corner, and then they scored from that cross that nobody actually touched. And yeah, you could argue that the wind took it in, but I think they identified a weakness, and I think they probably did their homework on us on that, in that regard.
And of course, if they've identified that as a weakness, it's up to the United staff and the goalkeeping team to really work on that, so that it's not a weakness for much longer. Going back to the Conti Cup game, Jake, bearing in mind we had a 3-0 win over Everton this year, we had a 3-0 win over Everton last year. I'm asking you because I know you were at both games. The consensus last season was that was the best 45 minutes we played that first half against Everton. Would you say that it was a better performance this year, in that we controlled the game the whole way through, or were we actually better in that first half last year?
It's hard to compare, really, with them being different circumstances. You know, Everton are a much changed team to the team that we played at the end of 2018, the first Conti Cup game. So it's really hard to compare them both, because Everton were a much improved team by the second time we went up to Southport. So yeah, as I say, I feel like our performance was a little bit, I don't want to say off, not as great as we can be, and I shouldn't complain because we won by 3 goals, but it wasn't as good as the first game. No, definitely not. But it was a good win. That's all I can say. Yeah. Good win, good atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. I think even though we had a day game this year at Southport, we still managed to create as good an atmosphere as we did last year in a night game. Yeah. Let's think more about then. I know we have talked a little bit about the league game at our place, the 3-1. We were playing well at the time, in a decent vein of form, but a very strange first 10 minutes. Fiona, I know you like your stats, and I know you've got your notes in front of you. You're very prepared for this. Those stats will tell you that the first 3 goals were scored within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And then the game more or less died from there on in. What did you make of United's performance that day? We'd come off the West Ham game the week before, which was really disappointing. So the win was crucial, but the performance not so great, perhaps, again.
Yeah, I think that's kind of accurate. So we go down straight away, and obviously you think, oh no, this isn't great, because we haven't ever come back really from a losing position at that point. And then we score very quickly after, and then we have a penalty. So it's 2-1. So it's a bit like, phew, we're over it. Because that first few minutes, they look like they're all over us. I think, yeah, it wasn't a greatest performance, but it showed determination and a willing to fight back, which I think was a very positive and important thing we had to show that we could do to help our confidence. Because, yeah, the West Ham game is just, best not talk about it, but build our confidence again. Everton, they're the teams we were kind of expecting to battle with position-wise this season. So I think it was a good mark of how we can play against them as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. You make the point about we came back from conceding very, very quickly, and I know it's one of the things I've mentioned, that we don't seem to recover well from losing a goal. And I've often wondered with that game whether we got back in and we went on to win it because we got that goal straight away. Sue, what did you make of that game, the league game at home?
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, they scored really early, but then we got that goal back really quickly, and really we dominated then that first half. I think that we seemed a lot more comfortable. Like you say, we hadn't, obviously last season, in the sense of the championship, I don't even think we ever went behind once, did we? So we hadn't really experienced that. And like Fiona says, Everton are in that group with us behind sort of the top three, sort of West Ham, Reading, Everton, us. And so, that is the kind of club that we need to measure ourselves against. And when we go behind so early, I think in any football game, it's really important to get back on level terms as quickly as you can, which we did. And then I think after that, we had the penalty, and then LJ scored again. And so, by half time and we're 3-1 up, again, we come out the second half and maybe, we're a little bit complacent. Maybe we think, oh, well, we're 3-1, we've got back into it. Maybe same as the away game with, we're 2-0 up, we've had all the play. So we maybe that little bit of complacency comes in. And then throughout the second half, I think it was a fairly boring second half, if I remember rightly. I don't think there were a lot of chances. And there was an opportunity, I think I'm remembering correctly, that Mary again made a bit of a mistake on a pass out from the goal and needed Millie. I don't know if the shot was going in, but Millie cleared it kind of in the box. And then LJ went close. Leo, I think, went close again. But after that, there wasn't really much going on in that second half at all, which is fine. If 3-1, you want to see the game out. And I think that is a good thing for us, because we've had, like the West Ham game that you said, we were 2-1 up there and we didn't see the game out. And I think that has been, a little bit of an issue for us. Again, was it Reading that we were leading? We need to see games out, and we need to be able to play boring football if necessary for 20, 30 minutes, just to stop them. It's not all about excitement. This is a league. It's about getting points. It's about, in our instance, I think this year being the best of the rest. But we have to look at the teams around us, and once we get ahead against them, like West Ham, Everton, Reading, we then need to see it out. And I was quite happy that the second half was boring. We came away with a 3-1 win, in a league against a team that we need to be, a team we're competing with, you know, for the place in the league. And I'm happy with that. You know, every game doesn't have to be 90 minutes end-to-end excitement.
Yeah, I think I remember I was doing the fan cams after that game. So I was really trying to pay attention to what was going on, and there was so little in the second half to really focus on. There were very few chances. I know I've got the sense they were putting us under pressure, but in the last 10 minutes, it just sort of eased and nothing really happened. But the second half, yeah, it was a real non-event. We'd have loved to have those kind of non-events against Brighton not that long ago, Reading, West Ham, like you say. Jake, what did you make of that game?
The Everton at home, was that?
Everton at home, 3-1, yeah, back in December.
You won. Yeah, well, as you said, we just closed the game out really well for the entire second half. Yeah, not much happened after the first 4 goals, which all came, you know, within fairly quickly after one another. The first goal when Everton took the lead, not going to lie, I was a little bit worried because obviously we'd never been in that situation before. We'd never conceded to Everton, and they were on a good run of form. So I was like, right, how do we react? Luckily, we reacted almost immediately. I think it was 2 minutes later, Lauren James up the other end and scored. And as they we really just sort of eased the nerves after that. We took the lead, and I'd love to see them do that more. And I think the problem is with us, we only seem to play that well against Everton. And I'd love to see us closing out more games like we did that day, because even though, as Sue says, it wasn't the most spectacular football in the world, it was boring at times. They got the job done, and we just need to do more of that.
Yeah, really good points. Sue, you made the point about Everton being our level, and I know that's one of the things I really wanted to discuss, but we'll come back to that after we've talked about the most recent game. And as things stand, potentially our last game of the season. That's a much bigger issue. We might have time to look at that. We came to that game really struggling for form. We hadn't had good results. We had the 2 draws against Reading, which for those of us who saw what happened, I think we're still fuming about. And also at Brighton, draw at Brighton, which was really, really poor performance. So we came into this game against Everton, new stadium for them. Well, stadium. New ground for them probably is more accurate. It was a big thing for them. I was disappointed with them because I thought they were going to really turn up for that game. And it was a game where I think our first half, certainly our first 60 minutes, was some of the best we played. That's not to say they didn't have their chances. I think Mary made a great save early on from Chloe Kelly when it was 0-0 possibly. But on another day, that game finishes 3-0. We did in the end sneak it. Well, sneak it, maybe that's not being generous enough to us. But a 3-2 win at that point in the season felt massive, I thought. Sue, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things that you've touched on there. I think first of all, there was so much hype about them having this game at their new ground, as you said. And you know what? I think that could quite easily have affected them. They were expecting what they said at the time was going to be a 1,500 capacity. They said it was a sellout. I'm not quite sure there were 1,500 people there, but there may have been. I mean, they were all very excited about that. You know, they had the whole parade on the pitch at the beginning, and potentially that affected their players. That could have been actually to our advantage, that they were hyped up about it. They could have been very nervous about it. They could have wanted to have put on a great performance for their fans. And I think coupled with that, we had 2 things going for us. The fact that we knew they'd be under pressure for that, but we also had Casey probably hammering the players for the previous performances, which meant that we weren't going to perform like that again. And secondly, we had the return of Leah. She'd been injured, she'd been out, she came back. And I think, therefore, with probably a kick up the backside from Casey on the previous performances, Leah coming back, and Everton actually being, I thought, very poor in that first half. And that was either us being really, really good or the occasion got to them. And it could have been a combination of both, I think.
Yeah. Actually, I hadn't thought about that getting to them. Jake, what do you make of our last game of the season so far?
It was a bit of a weird one because, you know, in the manner that we went 3 up and we thought, oh right, this is easy, plain sailing again, and then suddenly, a few minutes later, oh dear, 3-2. There could be a problem. No, look, it was a good afternoon in the end. As you say, the result was massive in the sense that we were on a really poor run of form before that. And Sue again makes a really good point. The occasion possibly got to Everton because, you know, new stadium, a place to finally call their own after, you know, hopping from, I think they played at Widnes and then up in Southport for the last few seasons. So it was a good occasion, and we enjoyed it as well by sort of drowning out all the little parades. But it was a really good occasion, and Leah Galton, that just shows what she means to this team. If anyone asks why Leah is such a star player, that game, 2 goals. Had she not been on the pitch, would we have won that match? I doubt it. I really do.
Well, as Fiona reminded me before, and you'll please, Fiona, jump in at this point. How many minutes after Leah was taken off did they get their first? 2, 3?
1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that game, because we had been in quite a, you know, hadn't had the results go our way at Reading, played poorly, that kind of thing. I think I went into that game nervous because how are we going to play and how was this going to impact Everton? Because this new stadium could have really pumped them up, but it could also overwhelmed them. So I think, went into it slightly nervous. And then we saw the team sheet, and then we had like Ockvist in there, Zellum not in the starting 11, you know, trying, maybe mixing it up, which some of us fans I know had been asking for that. So that was obviously interesting to see how that went. And it looked to pay off. Lotta had a few nervous minutes at the beginning, I think, but really grew into the game. Leah, you know, just showed how valuable she is to us. And I think our midfield 3 played well together. Now, obviously, you don't want to drop your captain every game, but maybe she's now got a bit of competition. She thinks, oh, I do need to perform, otherwise Cooney or Palmer or somebody else drop in there instead. She did come on, so maybe she was just being rested for a bit. You don't know. And then obviously one of the highlights of the match was at half time with Nat's crossbar challenge and her knee slide. So, you know, great first half. Then the second half started okay and then went downhill towards the end. But yeah, great atmosphere. I think us United fans, we had a good time as well.
We were really doing the thing that we've hated other teams to do, which is we were begging for our guys to slow the game down. And I know there were times when we shouted, Mary, dive on it. And I have to admit at this point, 2 things, Jake. One, I'm surprised you didn't mention that this was your favourite ever Everton game, considering we had a change of captaincy for this game. I'll come back to you on that one. And 2, I need to apologise to you because there was one point where the ball came out of play, and I just saw one of our fans just kick it back on, and I was shouting, "Let it go behind!" And I went, "Why did I got a little bit antsy at that point?" And I'm sorry because I was told that it was in your direction. So, Jake, my apologies, but it was all because I wanted the girls to win. Jake, did we forget that Jane Ross made captain for that game?
How could I forget? I came into the stadium absolutely buzzing. I was like, come on, it's Jane's moment, it's Jane's day. And I feel like that really gave her confidence because a lot of people said after that on the fan cams and just generally after that, you know, that was possibly her best performance in the United shirt. So maybe it is the power of the armbands, but, you know, it was a great occasion for her and me, of course, as well.
And she's got 100% record as captain, so clearly that's got to stand in the favour. Worth mentioning as well, not that we're ever behind the door in making a point of us as a fan group, but for the as the teams came out, they wanted the young fans to wave the flags. And although it was Everton flags that were being waved, I know for a fact there were at least 4 or 5 United fans that were waving them. So yeah, even when a team's having a whole big ceremony because they're playing in a new ground, we still needed the United fans to come and bring some of the support. So as things stand, that's our last game of the season. There's obviously bigger questions, ones that none of us can answer. Fiona, you suggested that something's happening in Scotland at the moment. There's an attempt for them to end their season as it is.
Yeah, so Scotland, I can't remember which leagues it is, but they want to end as it is. But I know the team that were going to get relegated, Patrick Thistle, have said they're going to fight it. So obviously that the way that the WSL would end is quite difficult because not every team has played the same number of games. Makes it difficult. We had a bad form in the middle and we were improving again, you might say. So we could have gained some points. I don't think we would have got 3rd position, but made sure we didn't go lower than 4. So yeah, makes it interesting.
Because us holding this position of 4th, which was the real goal, the realistic goal for the season, at the moment we've played 14, Reading have played 14, Everton have played 14. Spurs are the only team sort of in the little section we're in. They've played 15. They're the only ones who've played a different amount of games. So if it ended tomorrow, and if they said, right, we finish the league as we are, have we got the right to be annoyed if we're not granted 4? Sue, do we deserve?
I think on the balance of, I think for all of us, I think, as United fans, we think we deserve 4th. I think a wider problem with finishing the leagues now, regardless of the number of games that people have played, it's who you've played those games against. So you just said we played 14, right?
We played 14, yeah.
Yeah. So that means we've got 8 games left to play. We know that Liverpool away was postponed. We know Birmingham away was postponed. So that was 2 games that we were missing in the league. Again, I know our form has dipped, but we beat Birmingham away in the Conti Cup. Liverpool have, certainly at the time that we were due to play them, were not in good form. So I think you can't end, even if everybody is on the equal number of games, I don't think you can end the league because it's the games that they have remaining to play, not the games that they have played. So if we looked at our 8 games, okay, you could say, well, that's probably a game against, there's only 11 teams we have to play. So if there's 8, then there's only 3 teams we played twice effectively. So, but okay, we've got Arsenal away, but we've got City at home because we played them away. We've got Chelsea at home because we played them away. I think that our run-in was a good run-in. The teams that we had at home were the teams above us, and the away games that we had were people like Bristol, Liverpool, Birmingham, are all way down in the bottom. So I think it would be completely unfair, one, to not finish the league, but, and I've said this before to you guys, and this is my opinion, regardless of being a United fan, that I don't think that you can end the league now with the games that are left and end it with the positions that people are in. There's only, for me, 2 alternatives. You play it out or you void it completely, because you cannot take into consideration the games that have been played when there's not been a fair amount of home and away games against the upper, middle and lower echelons. So I would like the season to play out. If it doesn't, and this goes for Super League, Premier League, everything, I would like the whole thing to be totally void, because I don't think you can call it, because it's no level playing field. No one has played the games. We can't say that our 14 games compares to Reading's or Everton's 14 games, because we've played a different 14 games. You've either got to play everybody home and away, or you scrap the lot.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, Sue. And I'm just writing down while you were talking the games that we've got left. And again, if I look at that little section that we're in with us, Reading, Spurs, and Everton, we're separated by 4 points. We've played them twice, all of those teams. So it would be Chelsea, City, Arsenal above us, and then it's 2 games against Birmingham, home and away, obviously. Liverpool away that we've got to make up, Bristol away, and West Ham at home. So it is about us. If we look at a mini league, we are top of our little league, but we don't know who they've played as well. Jake, what are your thoughts on the status of the season thus far?
It's a no-win situation, is it? There's no solution that we can get to that everyone's going to be happy with here. Because look, if we play the season now, that'd be great, but no one knows when, if it will resume at all. Sue makes a great point about it avoiding the season, because as she says, we're not playing the same teams. Most of us are on the same amount of games, but you have the odd one. For example, Chelsea are, I think, they're second at the moment, but have a game in hand over City. So if the league stopped now, City would win the league. Yeah. And Chelsea were like, oh no, we had the game in hand. We probably would have won that based on their form. Liverpool will go down. As well, again, it isn't even fair on them. Look, I hate to disagree with people, but I would love to see the season, if it can't continue, called now. I will take 4th place, and not just as a United fan. I'm happy with the positions as they are. I know teams won't be, but is it worth letting a whole season's work go to waste, voiding it? And I don't know. I think that's what will happen, but I'd rather it just be called as it is now.
Okay, Fiona.
Well, if it does get voided and we have a good transfer window, maybe sign a striker, we could then, in theory, say in our first season in the WSL, we got Champions League or something like that, or got top 3. Obviously that's if we improve on our position. If we end up being lower than 4th, we'll absolutely be fuming about it. But yeah, I don't think there's no way that everybody will be happy with it. You can't say, yeah, City win the league, but they've got a game in hand. That's not fair. And I agree with Sue. We've not played the same teams. Everybody hasn't played the same teams. So again, that's unfair. But having those 14 games voided, a lot of hard effort went into those, a lot of preparation, and we've signed players, to have this, and you would feel bad that those games have been voided, but at the same time, how long are we gonna let this season go on for? Because it's not too bad of a problem in the WSL, but in the Championship, they can't play midweek if they've got jobs at the same time. WSL, you can maybe squeeze in a midweek game and a weekend game, get it sorted quite quickly. Still talking probably 4 weeks or something, and that's ignoring the cups. So, yeah, very challenging.
There's got to be a date. There's got to be a cut-off point, and that will possibly be dictated by the summer competitions. I know that the Euros is going to get put back, but we've had the Olympics put back. So does that force a timetable for next season? These are all decisions that I guess can't be made until we're even in a position to play again. And at the moment, we're not even in a position to play again. Here's a question that's just come to mind. And actually, I'd really love some comments on this as well. So I'm throwing this one out there. No preparation. Jake, I'm coming to you first, though. If the season was voided now, which one of our players, you can only pick one, do you think would have the most reason to be annoyed at their season being called out, cancelled?
I'm looking at this for who's had the best season and who's had all that work go to waste. Right, okay. I'm going to say Leah Galton, because in my opinion, she is our best player, our standout player. And last season she was plagued by injuries. Well, this season, apart from like a few weeks that she did have out at I think it's the start of this year, she's had a really good run. She's been scoring goals, setting them up, and she's been on fire. And see that all go to waste. The heart will break for her.
Okay, Fiona, which one of our players?
Yeah, I would agree. Leah would probably have fair reason to complain. You also look at James. He scored a fair number of games. Has not scored a reasonable number of goals, particularly for somebody her age. If the games get voided and all of those results get wiped and all those stats, she might feel quite hard done by as well. It's between them two for me.
Okay, Sue.
I kind of agree with Jake, with Leah, because I think she's had a real breakthrough season in the WSL, because I know there were, calls for her getting called up for England, and Casey saying about how she was just trying to get her to enjoy football again. And so I think Leah coming into the WSL and performing well is great. However, my choice would be Hayley Ladd, because we saw her from Birmingham. This was her debut season with Manchester United. So, and she's played great. I think she's been a fantastic addition to the midfield as that holding midfielder. She's really what we needed to get some grit and determination in there. And I think she could have had this been, completed, she would have had a standout season as a debutant into the Manchester United team. And so if this season is voided, what is her debut season? Because I think she's been a fantastic addition to this team. And for me, I think I would probably have had her play with her, simply because she's come into a new environment, seamlessly fitted into the team, and that's probably due to Casey and the rest of the teammates. But I don't think you often find a new signing at a club actually having a standout season. So as a new signing, fitting perfectly into the team, performing brilliantly every game. I can't think of a game that she's played badly in. And I think it would be a major disappointment if she didn't have a debut season. So would next season be her debut season if this one was voided? I just think she could feel really hard done by, that she's come into this team, done really well, and all her hard work is, voided.
Yeah, I'm going to add another name in there, because I think you've all made really relevant, really worthwhile points. But if the suggestion is, and I know, Rodney, you've asked if the season was voided, would that mean all records are scrubbed? If that is the case, then for me, the player is Mary Earps, because unless I'm mistaken, Fiona, bear me out on stats here, Mary clocked up 100th WSL game against Everton.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, now I know that would put her back. It would put everybody back. But knowing that she's reached that milestone for us this season, and she's, I think, she will be the first player to reach that milestone while playing for Man United. Not United game, granted, but she's reached that milestone playing for United. I'm going to throw in a different name, but looking at the comments, people agreeing about Leah, Lauren, Hayley Ladd. Kirsty Hansen's getting a couple of shouts. I know Nat put in a shout for Kirsty Hansen because tailed off a bit towards the end of last season, probably with uni, maybe just a full season as well. But really, this season started well. Certainly, I think the game against Spurs away, probably her best game of the season so far, I'd say. She'd had injuries as well, so she was just coming back. And I think it would have been great to see her and Leah on the wings again. We would have been looking forward to that. So, yeah, people seem to be agreeing on the same players. Mark's made a shout there. Amy Turner, she made right back her own position. And I know a few of us weren't sure what her status would be once Abby Mack was brought in, but actually she's proven herself to be really worthwhile. Rodney, what are you saying to me here?
Can I just ask a question?
Go
So I think the key here, though, particularly when you've made the point about Mary's 100th league appearance and, you know, maybe the number of goals that LJ or Leo has scored, etc. Do we know what the effect of a voided season is? Like, has this ever happened before? So if a season is void, does that mean all of the appearances, clean sheets, goals are struck totally from the record? So therefore everybody starts again on the same number of appearances that they had back in August? Do they start then with their total number of Manchester United goals back as they were? Does everything get struck off, or is it just the positions, as in the sense that the league is void, you know, or do individual records, performances also get wiped off?
I think I've got a response, but Fiona, I can see you're itching to come at that. So I'll bow to your knowledge on this one, please.
I would just say a number of journalists have said all the stats would get wiped, but some Arsenal fans were quite annoyed because of like Jordan Nobbs and some of, I don't know, she got some sort of like goal record as well. Obviously,
Jordan Nobbs's career and statistics. She knows her inside out. So, Nat, if you can help me out with some Jordan Nobbs statistics on the messages, please do. Anyway, this is the belief, isn't it, that everything will get scrapped?
Yeah, and I just think I would just add.
President Ian is saying everything gets voided.
I would just say Hampton has a Player of the Month as well.
Yes, Player of the Month. It really.
The thing is that.
Go on, Sue.
Yeah, I kind of think though. You know what? I'm not bothered. If somebody, Mary Ebbs can make her 100th appearance all over again. You know, Casey can get Manager of the Month all over again. I just think that voiding it, if we can't play it out, I'd rather lose this stats than have something, draw a line now. You know, I mean, let's go to the situation. I mean, what's the situation at the top of the league at the minute? Is City top, Chelsea second, and Arsenal third? Is that the situation?
Well, there's a different number of games.
What's the situation?
Fiona, have you got the stats to hand there?
Yes, precisely.
Yeah, so City are top, but they've 1 point above Chelsea, but they've played an additional game. And then Chelsea are on 39, Arsenal on 36, and they played the same number of games.
So Arsenal and Chelsea played the same number, or Arsenal and City?
Arsenal and Chelsea.
Right. So, you know, to me, straight away, is that you're talking about two teams, the top two teams going into the Champions League. How can you possibly freeze the league as it is and put City and Chelsea into the Champions League, you know, when they've not played the same number of games? You just cannot have that situation until you can get to a point where people have played the same number of games, although I've made the point earlier that I don't think that is in itself enough, because they haven't played all the games, so they've played different teams. You know, you can't put City and Chelsea through to the Champions League next year. That's just not the right thing to do. The only fair thing to do is to scrap the whole lot and go back so that next season, the two teams that went in, right, which happened to be Arsenal and City, they go in. And unfortunately, Chelsea don't get to play, because you cannot say, oh, but if you played and if this, you can't, for me, take that. And just like you can't relegate the people who are bottom now, you have no idea what will happen for the remainder of the season. So to freeze it as it is now, to put people in the Champions League, to relegate people, to promote people, would be completely the wrong thing to do.
I think, Sue, this is the situation where we either cancel this season almost and then have next season as a replication of this season, or we have to finish it somehow. obviously at the moment we are in a position where this country, as well as the rest of the world, it feels, is in a state of lockdown. So nothing's going to change quickly, because there will always be that situation of we need to give the players time to get going again, and then we need to get the games played out, and at some stage we need to end the season. Do we give the players an off season? They can't just keep going and going. Give them a pre-season, starts pushing things back. So this has all got to be sorted, and this is why I was saying earlier that we've got tournaments that will dictate the timescales of these things beyond anybody being able to make a decision about the state of play anyway. If that is then the last we've seen of Manchester United women in what would have been the 1920 season, marks out of 10 for the team. Jake?
I don't want to be too harsh. 7, because I feel like we've just been a bit hit and miss. And I hate to say that because we knew when we came up this was going to be a season that was unpredictable. It was a massive challenge. We've played some great football at times, but all the times we've not. Let's be honest. But it's been a decent, satisfying season so far, and 4th place, can't complain.
Sue, marks out of 10 for the team this year.
I'm going to go higher. Don't know whether it's an 8 or a 9, but when we got promoted, when the promotion was guaranteed, I think it was at the Millwall game last year away.
Promotion. No, there were the 2 games we had at home. We had the Villa on the Wednesday, and I want to say Palace on Sunday. I think Villa we confirmed promotion. Palace, I think we confirmed the title. Somebody will tell me I'm wrong on that probably. But Millwall, I think Millwall.
There was a game. There was an away game when we were definitely coming up. We were definitely going to be promoted, and I did a fan cam with Natalie after the game, and she asked me, "Where do you think we're going to finish next year?" And I said 4th.
Yeah.
And she looked at me, and I went 4th. I said, "I don't see us competing with the top 3, not next year." And I predicted 4th, and that was before the pre-season. It was before we signed Jackie and Hayley and Jane Ross and everybody else, because I thought from what I'd seen last season that we could be the best of the rest, that all the time through the championship, we were preparing for the Super League. We weren't preparing to win the championship. We were preparing to play in the Super League. But we knew that Arsenal, City and Chelsea would push on. We knew that they have investment. We knew they would make signings. But I was confident that we would finish 4th, even at the back end of last season. And I think that coming into this league, the way that we have, and the performances that we gave against City away, Arsenal at home, Chelsea away, with the pressure that was on Manchester United because of the name coming into the Super League, everybody expected us to perform. If we'd have finished mid-table or below, we'd have probably got slated from all of the women's football podcasts, from everybody, "Oh, you know, you're the big Manchester United, what have you done?" So I think with all that pressure, I think we've done extremely well to finish where we have. And I would give us an 8 out of 10.
Okay, we've got a 7 from Jake, an 8 from Sue. Where are we going with that, Fiona?
So before the season, if we had 4th, I would have bitten your hand off. But then, if we look at some of our performances, particularly against the weaker teams, we've been quite poor. And look at Reading, for example. We should have been scoring more goals, so it didn't matter what the ref did. But then, in those games against Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, we've pushed them. We might not have got the points, but we've pushed them and, made it close. So it's really tough because we've had some great highs, but we've also had some quite low lows. So yeah, I think 7 is probably about right. I think if against Brighton or against Reading we played a bit better, I would have pushed for an 8. But yeah, I think 7 is as high as I'll give them at the moment.
Obviously, Nat's kind of split the difference. He's been 7.5. I think it's a really relevant point that at the beginning of the season, maybe the end of last season, beginning of this season, 4th was something we all felt was achievable. And I know when players went out, before players came in, there was a sense that maybe between 4th and 6th was realistic. So actually, as we stand in 4th with at least a 2-point lead over Reading, then that's got to be something that we've got to be happy with that, right? But I kind of agree with Nat. It's a 7.5. Hate to think that's right, but
can I just ask a question?
Go for it, Sue.
Can I just ask a question? What score would people have given us if we'd have finished 6th? What score would people have given us, or where did people think we would finish? I think because we opened the season strongly against City, even though we lost, strongly against Arsenal, even though we lost, then we went on a great run of games. All of a sudden, by Christmas, people thought, we're going to finish 4th, we're going to finish 4th. And then we had that dip in form, and we're still in 4th place. And yes, I know we should have beat Brighton, and I know we should have beat Reading, but we can't beat everybody every week. And I think that by Christmas, we were all riding on a high, which is why we think the slump in form afterwards is disappointment. But we just have to consider this is our first season in this league. You know, I just think we're being very harsh on one or two of the bad performances when everything was so easy last year. My biggest criticism of the team this year is not seeing out games. And that's the games against West Ham and Reading. And that's because we did not have to learn that skill last year because we were so far ahead that we didn't need to think about that. And my second biggest criticism is taking chances. We had chances against City. We had chances against Arsenal. We didn't take them. But again, we can't expect the players to do that. Last year, we might have won 5-0, but we could have had 30 chances. I don't think some of the games last year we actually played brilliantly in. I think we scored loads of goals, but it was against very poor opposition. And we didn't always take our chances last year, but it didn't matter. In the WSL, just like with international football, you get one chance, you've got to take it. And I think for a first season, I think we've done exceptionally well.
I agree, Sue. And I think going back to the point about being more clinical, that's why a lot of the talk has been, if there is one area we need to strengthen on, it is a striker. It is somebody who's more clinical. It is somebody who can take that one chance we might get against City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and then those losses might be draws because we're only losing games by our goal. And one of the things that it's a conversation I've had with a couple of people, but we've almost been disappointed in the standard with some of the Super League teams because some of them are on a par with decent championship teams, it feels. So I think there was this sense that it was going to be harder this year. And maybe that's why we've not always given ourselves credit for the achievements we've had against certain teams, but why we've also slipped up because we've been complacent against teams. I'm just going to try and wrap this up because we're coming up to the hour. I know I did mention strikers. That's the one area. If we could strengthen in one area, is it a striker for all of you, Fiona?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you want to give me a name? If you could pick anybody, Fiona. It's not necessarily somebody who's realistic. It's somebody who you would just love to see in a red shirt whenever next season is.
So I couldn't give you a name, but we need somebody like Miedema who scores 15 plus goals a season. We need somebody who will do that for us as well. I couldn't give you a name though.
Okay, Sue, would you also go for a striker if we only strengthen one position?
Totally unrealistic, but the best striker in England right now is Beth England.
Okay. Let's fly a kite, Sue. Let's aim high. Okay, Jake. Who's your player?
To be realistic.
Look, we definitely need a striker. I mean, I've had a look before this podcast, and look, our 2 strikers have got a combined total of 8 goals all season. Not to be horrible, but that's simply not good enough. We do need a striker. I don't know. I can't come up with a name at the moment. We do, as Fiona says, we need a Miedemar, but we're not going to get a Miedemar. We need someone with WSL experience who can bang the goals in. That's it.
You're not going to give me a name?
No, nothing's coming to mind at the moment.
And the chances are, if somebody does come in, it might be somebody that none of us had thought of. And obviously, with this current impasse in the season, it may have a massive impact on signings and transfers, people going out, people coming in. And there's always going to be plenty of speculation about players who might leave. I'm not going to go down that road. Let's just think positively about players who could come in and could actually take us to the next level, because finishing 4th next year might not be seen as the achievement it would be this year. I'm just going to leave that there. Jake, Sue, Fiona, thank you very much for your time this evening. Thank you to everybody who's been watching. Also got some great quotes and great comments. Thank you very much. I don't know who's going to be with you next week. We haven't decided that yet. You might see one of our faces back next week. If not next week, maybe in future weeks. But as we always say at this stage, circumstances aren't easy for people. The Barmy Army are here if you need us. You can always drop us a line on Twitter. Join us on our Sunday socials. I know I saw all of you guys on our Sunday social, but we are all here to support one another. So don't be alone and share what you need to with us all. So thank you all very much. Thank you 3, and thank you to everybody who's watched us online. And somebody will see you next week.